Hi, welcome to Flowspace.
Our purpose is to create more connection and understanding through open and vulnerable conversation, expand and heal your mind, and learn from other artists. A lot of fears have been coming up for us recently, especially since deciding to start this podcast. So, today we want to start off by talking about how we've kind of been working to confront those fears, break them down, and yeah,
Overcome them.
just really overcoming fear, because fear is really the only thing that's holding us back from all of our greatest dreams in life. And
Being the person that you are deep down and the person you already are.
I feel like everybody's been feeling this kind of collective shift that's been happening recently. A lot of changes that people are going through financially, just with their work, with
Relationships,
yes,
friendships,
exactly,
so many different factors, and everyone that we've spoken to, all of our friends, family members, everyone I've
that
just,
we've interviewed thus
yeah,
far.
interviewed. It's just everyone's going through it, but also at the same time, there is this shift, and I think everyone's recognizing the shift right now. And so I think healing and learning all these lessons right now so you don't repeat them next year or in next year or in a couple months from now.
Yeah, because it's
You
kind of
know,
like everybody's feeling really alone right now in their struggles, but we're also kind of we're being brought closer to each other
being
because
collective.
we're going through this collective shift, and everybody's kind of going through similar but different things. So it's like we're feeling so much less alone while we're also feeling alone in our
Mm-hmm.
struggles. So I think
But
there's this
feeling supported.
energy. Yeah, like there's this energy of
Yeah.
like us learning to connect to each other again. I think like when COVID happened, everybody was kind of separated and isolated, and it's like now we're slowly shifting back into community and helping each other and lifting each other up, which is
Yeah.
just a very beautiful thing that's happening right now. One fear that's coming up for me, and I know for you as well, is just that, like, especially for those of us that are empaths and have the natural inclination to want to help others before we help ourselves, which isn't everybody, but a lot of us are that way. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
people I surround myself with are that way. And I think that I'm so used to like putting my energy into other people before I put it into myself, but also like while some of that comes from a good place, another part of that is just the fear of like if I put everything into my own projects and my own work that I see for myself, or my own visions that I see for myself, then I am personally attached to the results,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm personally attached to like if that works out for me or doesn't work out for me, like it's all on me. And I think that that's one thing that is been very scary for me personally, is just like I'm recognizing I can't be putting everything into other people because
You
I'm
can't give fully if you're not giving to yourself.
exactly.
And I feel like we always want to give to others and be able to be there for others, and we a lot of the time prioritize just others before ourselves. And even, at least for me too, I always want to be around people, and I'm really trying to break that habit or that cycle of, oh, let's go to the grocery store, or
Mhm.
let's go do this, or let's go do that, or come over, or I'll come over. And it's just always being around someone, but then you don't give yourself that time to focus on what you're wanting for your future self. And I don't think everyone is like that, but I think there are a lot of people that are like that. And
Mhm.
it's breaking down those habits and those cycles because, I mean, like we're going to talk about later, this it's just the starting factor of it. And I
Yeah.
think both of us, especially starting this podcast and starting our other business ideas and stuff, it's hard to separate yourself and your there's so many aspects of yourself. There's your business self, and
Mhm.
there's your personal self, and there's your relationship slash friendship self. And they're just, you have to find a good balance of
Yeah.
everything, so everything's just
Yeah.
aligned. And
And right now it feels like balancing out all the years that I've given to others before giving to myself by literally going full force focusing on myself and like spending way less time than I normally would
mm-hmm.
pouring into others, which is just like also a scary shift as well, because it's like, damn, I'm really, I'm supported, but I'm also like very much pouring into myself, which means that I'm gonna be a little bit more alone,
Yeah,
And yeah, I think it just feels like this energy of we're breaking everything down in order to rebuild it from into something new and something better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is a time right now where we're meant to learn our lessons, acknowledge whatever feelings are coming up for us, acknowledge whatever we're going through, fully feel those feelings because I have the tendency to kind of like avoid. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
like feel
Or
it, but
like
then
partially feel the
yeah, like
feelings.
I'll
You're like, oh
partially
yeah,
feel it.
I've been through that. I've figured that out. I'm healed.
Right.
But you're not.
No, because there's been so many things
Yeah.
that have come up for me recently that have made me recognize, oh, maybe you didn't heal from everything that you thought that
Yeah.
you healed from. So it's like now I'm fully trying to let those emotions come up and feel it fully and understand how it affected me fully or
Mm-hmm.
how it's still affecting me. And that way I can actually release it. And I find that, like, when I do spend time with those emotions, the answers find themselves. Like, I don't really have to think about it too much. As long as I fully feel it, like, I don't think my way out of it, the answer comes. It's like there's this place outside of your mind where
Yeah.
when you like fully feel the emotion, then it's like, okay, now it's time to release it, and you'll know when it's that time.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like finding all the little signs too. I mean, if you really just look or be aware, you'll just see all the synchronicities in everything. Like the universe is just telling you, oh no, you need to do this. Oh no, you shouldn't be doing this. And following your intuition, because I think a lot of the times we feel a certain way and we're like, nah, we don't
Yeah.
need it. We don't need to listen to that. But we
Right.
really do.
We
And then
really
when you
do.
don't listen to it, I think the universe is just going to try to find other ways to bring that situation or those lessons you need to learn back into your life that you
Yeah.
can actually learn them this time. And it's just a
Right.
constant cycle, you know? You have to break down those barriers
Yeah.
because build up your walls in the aspect of like boundaries, like creating boundaries for yourself in all different areas, but at the same time allowing your walls to be down in a certain sense, you know?
Absolutely, yeah, because I think like that energy that we talked about of things that are really shifting right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that big shift is really like we are meant to break down these cycles right now, which requires fully feeling those emotions. Because, like you said, the universe is just gonna keep throwing things back at you until you actually learn the lesson that you're meant to
Yeah.
learn. So it's like right now, give yourself that space. You know what I'm saying? Make the decision that involves choosing yourself because that's what we're meant to learn right now is like choosing yourself means that you can give to others more freely.
Being burnt out too, you
Yeah.
know, acknowledging when you're burnt out, because I think for a really long time I just, even right now, like I feel I'm always doing something. I feel like I haven't been sleeping that much. And granted, there are a lot of things that I'm working on and I'm happy that I'm putting my energy into, but at the same time, I need to say, I'm burnt out. I can't do this. I can't be able to be there for you and just open communication with everything. You know, if
Absolutely.
you're not able to show up for someone or show up for yourself, you come first. So you need to just say, you know, I can't do this or I can't do
Mhm.
that. And
Boundaries.
boundaries, setting time for yourself so you can literally do nothing, being okay with literally being bored too. I think
Mhm.
both of us are someone we need to do something all the time. And I was never like that for a lot of my life. I feel it's been a more recent thing of me wanting to always stay busy,
Mm.
but it's also productive busy. It's not
Yeah.
like staying busy to distract myself because I think I'm facing a lot of things head on and trying to organize and manage.
It's like a different kind of busy.
Yeah,
It's not
it
just
feels
like,
like a good busy.
yeah, it's like the busyness is more like you actually confronting the things that you're
Yeah.
afraid of. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think like if we do break these cycles now, we all have the potential to really enter our light years. Like I feel like I've been in dark night of the soul for a long time, and it's time to really like break that cycle so that I can enter my light years. And if we don't break these cycles now, we're going to end up in the same place next year, year after. Like it's the time. So yeah, it's really time to put ourselves first. One thing about putting ourselves first is right now I'm learning to pivot quicker, recognizing that when I fail, I don't need to like take that as a sign that I'm not doing the right thing, you know? Like pivoting quicker is for me just looking like, okay, rework my mindset around failure, because failure is a big fear for me. So when I fail, instead of being like, that means that I'm not meant to do this thing, that means I'm not cut out for this, and instead of letting that put me in a like pit of depression for weeks, it's just like, okay, that didn't work out, how can I move differently to make it work? And then if that doesn't work, then it's like failure is learning, failure is a lesson, and reframing my mind around failure is one way that I've been trying to overcome that specific fear.
Yeah, and even with our podcast, we've had to pivot a lot, and I think that there are so many, like, it's hard sometimes, especially when you have a vision of certain things and how you want your future to look, the kind of person you want to be too. And at least for me, I feel like I make up a plan in my head and I'm like, okay, follow the plan all the way through, but also kind of be spontaneous and also kind of allow things to change at the same
Everything
time.
is so
But still
nuanced.
following the plan, you know? So you need the structure, but you also need to understand that everything is going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And if it isn't working out the way you're wanting it to, like, that is totally
That
okay.
doesn't mean your vision is completely
wrong.
invalid and
Yeah.
wrong. It just means that maybe the universe has something that it needs to teach you before you can get there.
Yeah.
And it's like the quicker that we look for those lessons, the faster we can reach the end game, the vision that we see. So I think that that's something really important. Also, like we talked about a little bit, another fear of putting ourselves first is the guilt of not being able to give to everybody in the way that they might be used to you showing up for them.
Yeah, because when you show up for someone a certain way and then you start putting yourself first, they already have this idea of who you are and what you're able to give, and then you give a little bit less and they're like, well, why aren't you giving like you normally give? Did I do something, or do you not like me anymore, or what is it? And really, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to put myself first.
Yeah. And I think, like we talked about before, as long as that's well communicated to the people that we love, then it's fine. Like,
if they don't understand, then they have things they need to learn, and maybe right now is not the time that they should be in your life.
Totally. Or that they should get most of your energy. Like, yeah, I think anybody that truly loves you and truly understands your goals for your life will accept you needing to maybe take a step back and focus on yourself, because it really is the time to pour into the things that are going to help us grow. And if you think about it, it's like we keep talking about this vision of like a garden, and if you are watering your own garden and you're really putting your time, effort, and energy into like making a beautiful garden, then the harvest is going to be so much more plentiful, meaning that everybody else can be fed. So it's like, if I continue to try to give so much from a place of honestly lack, then I don't have much to give. But if I take some time to focus on myself, recenter, focus, pour into my own garden, then at a certain point, next year comes around and that garden
even
is
next month comes
even
around.
next month. Watering your own garden means that garden is going to be plentiful as hell. And that means you get to feed the whole fucking city if you want. So that's the energy I'm on right now, is like, let me put some water into my garden and trust y'all are gonna be fed. It's just not gonna be right now. Right now, I'm gonna be fed. And then eventually y'all are gonna be fed, and I'm gonna be able to give from my heart's desire to give to other people, and the happiness and the joy that that brings me to be able to provide for other people. I can do that in so much more ways than just by my energy.
And definitely another thing is letting go of those relationships that are kind of holding you back, whether they're toxic or healthy. Sometimes you just need space to grow and learn. And I think that any relationships that are meant to be, you'll redefine what they are, whether it's in a month or a year or 5 years or whatever it is. And I think
you really can't lose anything.
Yeah, if someone's meant to be in your life, or even with family too, sometimes you need space from family because they aren't fully giving you what you need in that moment.
Or sometimes, like, I know for me, like, sometimes your family doesn't necessarily understand your goals and your visions and your dreams, and sometimes you just have to let that be okay. And just like, basically it's just time to make the decisions that affect your personal growth. And yeah, I think hopefully this podcast will reach the collective of people that are kind of like us and in that same space of just like learning to put ourselves first.
Yeah. It's always about like just, again, letting go and allowing new things to flourish and transpire into everything that they're supposed to be.
Asking yourself, what is your heart calling you to do, and what's stopping you from following through on that? And I think for us, like, our heart has obviously been calling us to do this, and also like just our other own personal endeavors, creatively and everything like that. And one of the things that's really been holding both of us back for a long time is the fear of being seen.
Agreed. I think I, for a long time, didn't have that fear of being seen, and then I developed the fear of being seen, and now I'm like learning to unlearn that fear that I've created for myself. And that's really hard to do, especially just you go through so many different things through life, and all these events occur, and kind of taking everything that you've learned and putting it into what you're wanting to do now. And
I think for you it's been a long process of like reformulating your relationship with being seen. Because Belle used to model, and I think like after that didn't work out, it was the fear that developed from just like that relationship of being seen, and now like being seen for more than that, for who you are and for your mind and what you have to offer is just like a very different thing.
Being seen by other people as a woman, and also
and being seen for your face and for your body
and modeling. And I know a lot of other models, and I know you model too, and so it's, you know, you're a blank canvas and a doll that people get to play with and tell you what to do and move you around, and you feel a sense of creativity, but I always knew that I wanted to do so many other things that are creative, and I think
that you have more to offer than just that.
And it was hard to set a line, one, because my mind, I wasn't in the right mental space in that time of my life, I think, and now that I've kind of been able to heal myself and cut ties from that and explored myself in so many other creative ways, and just teaching myself how to do so many different things and being proud of myself for all of my accomplishments, especially because I haven't really had a normal way of growing up. I feel everyone our age went to college and did all these things, and I'm like, I don't even know what I did.
I'm just floating
along and trying new things out, moving to new places, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've done and experienced and the people that I've met, but I feel like I'm allowing myself to get back into that space of being seen and using it in so many different ways. Like, I want to start doing little modeling things again, maybe just with friends
and
or
people that feel right, and like maybe smaller designers, and just like just things that feel more,
not being attached to like an agency or certain brands or anything like that.
It needs to be an organic thing.
Exactly.
Like, we need that,
and that's
element
when I feel
organic.
I can be creative. You know?
Totally.
It's like, even with this, we get to decide everything that we want to do, like our video shoots and our photo shoots and all of our promo for that. We get to be the minds behind it and all of the different like characters around it, instead of just like the centerpiece, you know. And I love styling, and I love doing like brand design and graphic design, and like I know that my vision for so many things, along with you, like, we have a vision and we want to put it out there, and so allowing ourselves to just do it, you know? And not being scared of what other people are going to think, or...
because that's another thing that comes along with it, is just like the comparing ourselves to others. Like, there's so many people doing their thing, which is such a beautiful thing, but it makes it so hard not to compare yourself to others, or like feel like you have to do it a certain way in order to get traction. Because I think like our vision is a lot different, but we're also trying to balance like, how do we get inspiration from others but not comparing ourselves to others, because it's like everybody's on their own journey, on their own path. So I think part of breaking that down is just recognizing that Like, all you have to do is just do you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like look at where other people are at and let that discourage you. You know, putting ourselves out there on the internet, we're going to be susceptible to hate comments and just like people looking at us and not understanding what we're doing and not liking us.
Yeah, because for me that was a really big thing of people I know judging it, but also fuck that. I don't really care what they have to say, because at the end of the day, that's what has been holding me back from so many things that I've wanted to do. I felt like I wasn't capable of doing honestly anything, because I was scared of what people in my physical world were going to think about me. I honestly have never been scared of what people on the internet are going to think of me, and maybe that it's that face-to-face reaction, or I don't know what it is, but I mean, maybe those
it's just
fears
like maybe
will come
people
up
that knew
over
a
time,
version of you when you were younger, and then it's like now
and they see your growth and they see your differences, and they're like, oh, she's faking it, and it's like, or maybe I don't know what it is.
It's just weird, you know. It's just weird because it's like putting yourself out there is just, you're susceptible to everybody's opinions, and so that is a difficult thing. And then it's like also, you know, like you said, like fear of just like not being good enough, like, and people knowing a version of you that maybe wouldn't do something like this, and so then that lives in your head, like these people might not think that I'm cut out for this. And so I think
it's like that's okay as well. And I think that it's also really cool, at least for me, I love seeing people that I've known in my past grow and evolve, and seeing how they are so different now. And
if they don't have that same love for you, then
literally. And I think that it's just so interesting to see the evolution of people that you've known for a year or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is, because we are going through our own things, and we're living our we're going through our own things, and we're all living different lives and experiencing different things, experiencing different people, careers, everything, you know. And so allowing ourselves to individually be understanding, because all we can do is love and want to see that growth in other people. And if they don't see it for us, then that's okay. And that's when I think you need to put down those walls of not letting their energy infiltrate your life, because then it's just gonna fuck with you pretty much.
And as far as like comparing yourself to others, like even just people on the internet, it's like the reality is that every last one of us has something uniquely to offer. That's why this world isn't made up of one single person, because we all have different brains, we all have different things to offer, we all are a part of this collective that's trying to grow and heal the world and heal our relationships with each other and heal our relationships with the planet. So every single one of us has something that we're passionate about and something that we have to uniquely offer. So part of breaking down that fear as well is just sitting with yourself and asking yourself, like, what do I uniquely have to offer based on my experiences, what I've overcome, just who I am at my very core. Like, what is something that I have to offer this world, and how do I bring that into the physical world? Like, we all have our own different perspectives and different voices that speak to different people. It's like, you know, there might be a million podcasts out there in the world, but it's like at the end of the day, we have our own specific audience, and so do you. You have your own specific audience. Everybody who's listening to this, you have people who will relate to you. So putting yourself out there, like, you will eventually find those people who you can speak to.
And it's allowing yourself to, allowing that energy, like it's all energy based at the end of the day, because at least I know for both of us too, when you find that one person that feels right, it allows other people to continue to come into your lives with those standards you've set for yourself, and with those like the ideology of what this person, like these friends or these relationships or these people in your career, like all of these different types of people, it's just gonna zoom into your life.
And because we all have our own like specific group of people to speak to, that also means on the other end that not everybody is meant to like us.
So and that's just totally okay. We all have different thought processes and different opinions, and again, just being accepting of others and
Yeah.
It's okay if someone doesn't like you,
If,
and it's
okay
if you don't like someone, if you don't vibe with someone, like, you don't have to like everyone.
Right, you
That's
don't.
okay. You
and
don't
not
need to be
everybody
friends
has to
with
like
everyone.
you. Literally.
Yeah.
Like we just like if we get a hate comment and somebody doesn't like something that we're doing, you know, I can stand firm in myself and have my relationship with myself, and I don't have to take on the opinions of other people. I don't have to think about the opinions of the people that know me, and I don't have to think about the opinions of people on the internet. Like, obviously, if there's something that is true that somebody's like, hey, you shouldn't have said this, you know, take that
Valid.
and learn from it. Valid. But at the end of the day, not everything that everybody's going to say on the internet is going to be true about you. So you have to have enough confidence and relationship with yourself to recognize that.
Just interjecting here to let you know that from this point we had a little problem with the audio. We're still figuring things out and working out the kinks, but I tried my best to make it sound as good as possible. So you can still hear us, but the audio is going to sound a little bit different from this point on. Sorry!
It's not a matter of whether or not you're good enough. It's really just showing up consistently. And I think, like, one thing that we've been doing to overcome that fear is just affirmations, like, I am safe to be seen, like, I'm meant to be seen, just things like that. Just giving yourself affirmations. And also, a lot of times recently when I've been meditating, I've been talking to my inner child and just asking her about her fears, and really just figuring out where the source of those fears come from, and how and just giving those affirmations to that version of myself. Let me make sure this out. Yeah. Just giving affirmations to that version of myself to make sure that she knows, like, it is okay to be seen, and that's
so many deep rooted.
I appreciate what she has to bring to the table.
Yeah. I know it's
Maybe not everybody did.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like there's so many things that I've been reflecting on in my childhood of why I feel like I'm not meant to be seen, or I'm scared of being seen, just because, yeah, as a child, I mean, adults look at children like they don't know anything, and they don't know a lot, but they know a
actually
lot.
do know a lot. They do know.
They don't know how to put it out there. That's the thing. And so then as adults, I mean, even now, like, I look at my younger cousins, or just younger children, like, in my family, or, you know, friends or whatever. And I'm like, damn, you actually do know a lot. It's just hard to put it out there because you haven't experienced. You're just a kid, exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like I really wanted to be out there when I was a kid. Like, I wanted to be like I wanted to be on Disney Channel. I wanted to be famous. Like, I wanted to be like a singer. Like, and I just always was met with, like, no, that's not allowed. Like, you're not allowed to do that. You know, and just
You can't do that.
you can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not capable. So, like, there's those versions of myself, and then there's also like the teenage version of myself who, like, in high school was bullied a lot, and so I feel like those versions of myself, like, there's so many versions of myself that have been hurt and have been taught that, like, I need to make myself small. And so just kind of going back to those places and healing those when I didn't maybe have the tools to do that at the time has been very important. And I think another thing within the fear of failure is, like, putting our all into something and then it going nowhere.
Yeah,
And it's so scary because it's like, if you put all this effort in, you don't want to feel like your time is wasted. But when I was talking to my producer, my coach, shout out my coach, a few weeks ago, I was talking to him about this, and he really, like, put manifestation into a different mind frame for me, because he is just so wise, and he was just, and we definitely need to get him on here at some point.
Yeah.
But he's just so wise, and he was just talking about how, like, you know, that when you have a vision for something, it's hard not to think that, like, if it doesn't go exactly as planned, like, oh, I'm gonna post hella videos, and then you expect for something to blow up, you know? But it's like, if it doesn't, he just kind of called me out and just told me that, like, he feels like I don't, like, release my vision for something.
Yeah.
Like, I have the vision and I think I know exactly how it's supposed to go, but I'm not meant to know, like, how it's gonna affect people and what timing, and, like,
doing it, cutting it off.
Yeah, doing
letting the universe, and even what we were talking about earlier, you know, it's like we have these expectations of how we want things to go out, or plans, or whatever, relationships, and you can't do that. Like, it's good to have standards for yourself, but I think when it comes to expectations, everyone's like, oh, you don't have expectations for that, but it's so true and so valid, because when you have expectations, again, it's a cliche for a reason, that leads to disappointment. But I think also rewording that into not having expectations but having standards,
And more
and
having trust.
yeah,
Like trusting
yourself.
trusting yourself and trusting how the universe is working, because like I will be the first to admit that I don't know the fucking best plan for my life. Like I really don't. I look back on my life and I see so many times that I was just distraught and thought, oh, this is going wrong, this isn't working well. But it's all quite literally led me to where I am today so beautifully. So recognizing that that is happening in this now moment. When something doesn't go like
as
planned, or just release the plan to begin with. That's the lesson, is because like
have a goal.
Yeah, have a goal,
Yeah.
but don't get too caught up on how you see it happening and in what timeline, because the universe is constantly teaching us lessons, and you're gonna miss out on the lessons if you feel like everything is just a disappointment. And so we also, right, like very short after I had this conversation with my producer, I was reading this book called The Modern Witch, and it was talking about manifestation. I'm going to read a quote from it. It's kind of a long quote, but hopefully you guys are picking up what it's putting down, because it's very much,
it's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's very much about this. It says, we live in a universe that is composed of entirely energy, and you must use that to your advantage. The phrase mind over matter suggests that thought can shape the physical world. Since the universe is composed of energy, then that must mean that mind and matter are made of the same stuff. In theory, this also means that all things are connected, even the unknown, in a similar manner. The mind is much more than just thought. However, it is also a part of your soul, and it houses personality, subjective reality, and motivation. Wise witches know to give over all the energy when casting a spell and or manifesting, or they will remain personally tied to its outcome. This means that when you are performing magic, you must be present in mind, body, and soul, and you must disconnect from all work once it's completed. In addition, you have to be wholly convinced that the spell will be successful. Otherwise, you run the risk of the influence from the working affecting you in some sort of feedback loop or falling flat upon takeoff. And I just think that that's so beautifully put, because it's like when you are doing the thing, you have to be so fully present. And then when you are ready to release it, you have to fully release it and just trust wholeheartedly that it's going to do what it's meant to do, what it's meant to do, and that it's going to work out how it's meant to work out. And I think that because it's just like the feedback loop. It's going to fall flat, or it's going to get caught up in a feedback loop if you have energies tied to it. And that also goes with
talking to other people about it too.
not talking to other people about it before it's come to fruition,
because then their energy and their thoughts and perspectives are gonna just
also get caught up in that.
Exactly. So I think, and that's something that we've decided that we wanted to not really share too much information about everything we're doing, just because we've set our manifestations and we've set our intentions behind everything. And I think implementing that also in your day-to-day life of what you're wanting when you meditate and when you manifest. And not everyone does it, but I highly recommend, because I definitely have been trying to do it more. I think I go through waves of where I do it and I don't do it, and I definitely feel
more grounded.
And also I feel like it just works when I do it, and then I don't know why I stop. And I think it's goes back to those routines of just implementing that into your everyday life, so then it just becomes a habit.
It just becomes a natural habit. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think
it's also weird because your producer said that one day, and then I'm pretty sure you were reading it like 2 days after.
2 days after I was reading.
And that was another sign in synchronicity. So it's like finding those synchronicities within your life and just acknowledging.
Because the universe is trying to teach you a lesson.
They're trying to teach you.
They're trying to teach you, and it's going to come up multiple times. So if you're aware and you're paying attention to the synchronicities, it'll be so much easier to implement into your life, because you'll just be like, okay, I see how this is all affecting each other.
And just finding the positivity too behind everything, because going back to the collective fear I think that we're all facing or not fear, the collective shift that everyone's facing right now. It's okay to feel overwhelmed, and it's okay to feel just like, what the fuck is going on right now? But again, realizing everything is going to be okay and trusting the universe and trusting all of those little signs, and that right now, it's hard and it's okay that it's hard. But in a week from now, you're not going to be feeling this way. But in this moment, you need to feel it, and you need to just let
and ask what it's trying to
these
teach
emotions.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Implementing the manifesting and meditations in those moments of craziness,
to keep you grounded.
Yeah,
and
because
to
if not, you're gonna lose your fucking mind.
right, and to help you learn from it, and kind of veering back towards childhood wounds and like healing your inner child. And I think another really important thing with breaking down fears is like recognizing who you were at your roots. So like lately I've been looking for a lot of good memories from my childhood and remembering what I loved to do and who I wanted to be and
Before
what
society.
made me happy before society really took over. And because it's like the other side of the coin of like looking back at all those times that you felt like you were maybe hurt or you weren't seen or you weren't, affirmed, and like healing those parts and telling your inner child what they needed to hear. The other side of that coin is, what was before that? What was before that was a big dream and a big goal and something that was so beautiful and pure to yourself. So I think really
just simple love for life and for people and for yourself. I remember looking at myself in the mirror as a kid and genuinely just loving myself, every single part of myself, like counting all the freckles on my face. And even my cousin, she was always like, "Oh, I know every single freckle on your face." Like seeing how, and that's just like that child love that you have between your family or your friends or whatever it is, but also with yourself, and just fully loving yourself and putting those standards that society has put on us, just putting them right out the window. Because
it's kind of like being your big sister, your own little big sister, and just being like, I appreciate you and I value you for who you are at your most authentic self before the societal pressures to be something specific got in the way. Like, I see you for who you actually are. It's like so important.
Even right now, like even you saying all of what we talked about the other day of you being like, no, you can be behind the scenes, things like that, and you seeing my potential, and all of my other friends and my family seeing my potential and seeing all the good things in me, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to see that about myself in the way that you guys see me, and so I personally need to break that down and figure out, why do I look at myself this way? What are those roots and the causes of how I view myself? Because I feel like I go through waves of, I really love myself and I am really proud of myself, and my mindset and my heart and my mind and just everything feels so good. But then the next day I'm like, what are you doing?
A piece of shit.
See? But then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not a piece of shit. And I'm not, like, I'm okay. And I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And so it's just so interesting to see the perspectives of how others look at you, because I think also I always try to find like the outside perspectives, like in every situation, of like multiple perspectives too. And I always just ask myself, why can't I do that for how I view myself? But I can do that for situations that involve me and another person, or like two other people, or whatever it is. But I always have a hard time when it comes to myself.
Yeah, and I think part of that comes from just like, not being exactly where you want to be yet, and so it's sometimes hard for us to just be like, I'm not exactly who I want to be and I'm not exactly what I want to be. So it's like coming to terms with who you are at your very core, and just recognizing that like you're always going to be a work in progress. So you can have a different perspective on that. Like everything's always going to be a work in progress. Like, what's the point in knowing how everything is going to happen? Because once you get to that place that you desire to be at, then it's done. So enjoying the journey is so important. Just being okay with who you are right now will give you the motivation and will give you the ability to move out of love for yourself rather than out of like shaming yourself for not being who you want to be. You know, it's just so important to kind of rework that, because I think so many of us motivate ourselves through shame. And that's something that I've really struggled with. And I think that that's just not sustainable. That's why I feel like I go through these cycles a lot of times where I'm like, okay, I feel super motivated and I'm getting shit done, but it's like that's not sustainable, because I only got up and got shit done because I've been sitting in my bed for a week, not getting shit done and feeling like shit about myself. So how do I motivate myself from love so that it can become more of a sustainable practice, rather than this cycle of like motivation and then going back into the depression hole, and then motivation going back into the depression hole?
It's not sustainable at all. And I think I think people experience that a lot when they get out of a relationship. You know, they're like, I have to glow up, I have to do this, I have to pretty much prove to that person that I am good enough. And it's like, you don't need to do that for that person. You should be doing that for yourself in a relationship, out of a relationship. Like, no matter what the timeline is, I feel like you should just always be working on healing yourself and giving your body the nutrients and the energy and the strength that it deserves, because when you have that mindset, it's just not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not that it's sad, it's just you just need to relearn it, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like
And
so many things have taught us to be this way. So it's like we really are all just out here trying to parent ourselves, because we've really been taught in so many ways to be like this, like through school systems, through our parents, through society in general, have taught us to shame ourselves into doing better, which is just not. It's not right. And none of us should be feeling like that. You know what I'm saying? We should be feeling in alignment and in love with ourselves
too. You know, like, I'm better than this person. I can do this, I can do this. And even in like the creative world too, you know, it's like for a long time I really felt like it was this competition. Who's the best painter? Who's the best singer? Who's the best whatever it is?
Yeah.
And right now I just feel like all of the creatives, especially here in Denver, are coming together, supporting each other, uplifting, just being there for each other, reposting, telling other people about their spaces or their events or their artwork, their everything, their albums.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And I think that there are a lot of places that need to start doing that more. I mean, we've even talked about, you know, like LA or New York, and I think that's
why Denver is such a campus.
Yeah, because I think everyone here genuinely thrives and wants the best for each other. And I'm not saying people in other cities don't, but at the same time, there's more competitive
here of like, we know that we need each other to like get to where we want to go. And I think that's why Denver can be such a canvas of a creative community that does it differently, because we don't have all the connections or the clout or the opportunities. We really have to make it for ourselves, which means we have to support each other. We can't really do it ourselves. Another thing is just like, there's this other cycle of just this fear of not being present and not enjoying the moment, which causes you to not be in the moment. So I think releasing that as well, just letting yourself be in the moment without feeling like you have to be afraid of what is not happening. We all need to work on really just actually being present.
Agreed. Even like we are always wanting for the future, you know, like, oh, I can't wait for this to happen. It's like, yes, I also can't wait for this to happen, but you need to be present in this moment, because if you're not doing everything you need to do right now, how are you going to get there in the future? You know, and like also just healing your past, and we can talk about that more.
And it's like you can be present with, it's like you can think about the future and you can think about the past, but you have to be present with that as well. Like being really present with, okay, right now I'm thinking about what I want for my future. Or right now I'm going to spend some time taking care of my past self. Or right now I'm going to be present and do what I need to do to get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
Like all of those things require complete presence. And I was talking to my friend Yanla earlier last week actually, and we were just talking about like, damn, it's so nice for us to just, because we were going to watch something while we ate and we just didn't. And it was like so nice to just be in each other's presence and really be present with the food, and it literally tasted better. Like, it was like just being very present in what we're doing. And I'm like, I don't even want to be like watching videos while I'm washing dishes. I want to enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we distract ourselves so much, but it's like, how can I be more present with what is actually going on right now?
Allowing space for the little things.
Even if you're scared, just take a chance on yourself. Just do it.
Yeah. And allow all
Just
the
get like
feelings
19 and do it.
to feel. Yeah, just like allowing yourself to go through the motions, not being hard on yourself, trying to stay as positive as possible, but also allowing yourself to be negative at points. You know, it's not all about positivity being like always pushing yourself. I think the biggest thing is not pushing yourself, but just allowing yourself.
Allowing, yes.
No,
Coming to terms with the lightness and the dark.
Yeah. Feel everything because you can't have one without the other.
Exactly. You really can't. Yeah. And so I think, if whatever you are dreaming of right now, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Learn how to pivot. We'll definitely learn something. We have already learned so much just since starting this podcast, just since starting our interviews and just planning out everything. We've learned so much about ourselves. We've learned so much about each other. We've learned so much about the world and about other people. So I think, regardless, that's the positive mindset is like, if things don't work out, you can be okay with that and be disappointed about that. That's okay. But also just recognizing that there is meaning in literally everything that happens. So just do it. Take the first step today. Figure out what your first step is, because I don't know, if you're like me, you're like, Belle, you got ADHD, you got all these options in front of you, you got all these big ideas, and sometimes the hardest thing is just figuring out where to start. So if you can just find one step to take and then find your next step without feeling like you have to like do everything all at once,
It's just gonna flow.
It's just gonna flow and it's just gonna space. But yeah, in conclusion, we really hope that you took something away from this. Hopefully you feel less alone in your fears and more inspired to face them. And yeah, just allow yourself to pursue your dreams because you are so worthy of everything that you desire.
Yeah. And you are who you want to be.
Yes.
You just need to unlock and unleash all of those parts of you. And again, just allow yourself the space to grow and to learn and to evolve and just being kind to yourself and to others and
just tell yourself, I am capable
of
my greatest dreams.
hella affirmations.
Hella affirmations and feel those affirmations too. Don't just say it, really feel it. Like, I am capable of my biggest dreams, and remember that there is room for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to our first podcast.
Yes, we hope you enjoy.
We will be dropping it every Friday, so stay tuned.
And we post short form content on all platforms as well. And yeah, so follow at flowspacepod anywhere and you will find us. And wishing you peace, light, love, and darkness because you need both. Bye.
Bye.